Welcome to TTP, Turnbuckle Talk Podcast. You're listening to Kieran Cooper and John Dugan. This podcast is sponsored by Dirty Blondes. Dirty Blondes is a bar located in the heart of Blackpool, famous for their banging tunes, cocktails and 18-inch pizzas. The only place to get a pizza as big as your table across the Fylde Coast. If you're ever in Blackpool, check them out. They're on Facebook and on Instagram. That's Dirty Blondes Blackpool. Let's talk wrestling. Talk podcast. I'm joined with my co-host, the Scottish stud, John Dugan.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good, yeah. So
good.
This episode, we decided to go with stipulation of matches because of on Sunday it's the TLC pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So we've not gone for necessarily our favourites or the ones that we dislike the most. Just ones that we've picked out that we thought are quite interesting, and that's good to talk about. So it's not necessarily our favourites. Just to point that out.
Yeah, but some of them make me my favourites, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Even the bad ones.
So we're gonna do three ones that we like, three ones that we think are just shocking.
Yeah.
And you know, it's funny about stipulations because there's so many matches that you just forget about.
Yeah, because sometimes they're only like one-offs, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
But, or you know, they get their own pay-per-view.
TLC.
Strange. Yeah.
So, shall we start off with a terrible one?
Yeah, can do. Do you want to go first?
I'll go first. Yeah, fine. So I've gone with the match I'm talking about is from WrestleMania 21 when WrestleMania goes Hollywood. Do you remember all them the promos where the wrestlers are doing the they're doing the movie scene?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, there were some really good videos and vignettes from that, weren't they?
It was such a good build-up. Well,
Yeah.
Isn't it? Is it Hollywood next year as well?
It is, yeah.
So hopefully they do something similar.
I mean, my personal favourite was Eugene doing Forrest Gump.
Oh God! Did he have a match at WrestleMania?
What's that? Sorry.
Did he have a match at WrestleMania, or was it just?
He did appear in it.
Probably a Royal Rumble or something.
Yeah, but anyway, right. So before the WrestleMania match at 21, let me backtrack. So it's May 1994, and the match I'm talking about is a sumo wrestling match.
Oh God.
Yeah. Now, I think the reason it happened at WrestleMania 21 with the Big Show is because of Earthquake. So it was Earthquake vs Earthquake against Yokozuna, and
Yeah.
you know how Vince is. Once Vince finds out a talent, he puts it into a gimmick. So Earthquake actually used to do sumo wrestling before he was an actual pro wrestler.
All right, I don't
And I
realise
can
that.
imagine it. Vince finds this out and goes, "Amazing! It'll be a spectacular." You know, like he does. Vince does that. If there's a gimmick, like for example, puke.
Yeah.
The wrestler, Vince found out he could puke. He puts it in the gimmick. He loves that kind of stuff. So they found out he was a wrestler, and then they had this match, and Earthquake actually won the match, which was a massive upset. And that kind of paved the way for the sumo wrestling match at WrestleMania 21. So,
Right.
it's Big Show vs Akibono.
Who's that?
I'm glad you said that. I had to research him. Nobody who likes pro wrestling knows who this guy is. He's a champion in his field of sumo wrestling. He's done everything in sumo wrestling, but nobody knows.
So he was a real sumo wrestler.
Mm-hmm. And he was unbeaten for a long, long time. Like he's like a sumo wrestling god.
Yeah.
So it's Big Show vs Akibono, but the Raw before, they have an official weigh-in, and so Big Show is 493 pounds. Akebono is 504 pounds. Now, for anyone in England, 504 pounds is just over 35 stone.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Really?
So the big guys.
Oh.
And Akebono, he seems genuinely humble to be in WWE. He says to Big Show, "Thank you for having me on this stage. Because we're going to have a sumo wrestling match, which is my type of match, I want to honour you and have a wrestling match." So he has a wrestling match
God.
on Raw.
Oh wow! How tall
Now,
is he?
You what? Sorry.
How tall is he compared to the Big Show? Because the Big
It's
Show's like 7 feet.
more or less the same height. More or less the same height as the Big Show.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I don't know how tall sumo wrestlers are. You say?
I think it varies, to be honest. Like I said, I don't know too much about sumo wrestling. But this, Akebono is more or less the same height as Big Show. But this match, right? If you don't know what a jobber is, this is the defining aspects of a jobber. So they go to an advert or a commercial break, and Akebono is against this wrestler, and the commentators say to him, "This contender, this young lad," they don't say his name, and they don't really acknowledge him too much. Akebono, slaps his chest. He falls out the ring. He comes back in. Akebono slams him down and pins him, and that's it. Like he doesn't get any build up or any entrance. Not on TV anyway. And the jobber was Eddie Vegas.
Eddie Vegas?
Yeah.
No.
I don't know him either. From what I can see, he's quite big on the independent scene, and he had a tiny spell at WWE, but nothing major. He just came in just to lose the match and get Akebono over. And then having this match at WrestleMania, and so let me read out these stipulations that get read this gets flashed on the fight card. It says, in this match to be declared the winner, you must either push your opponent outside the circle or knock him off his feet. So they both come out, and Big Show, it comes out in the traditional diaper, and there's a lot of skin showing. And you know what I mean? On paper, it sounds amazing, but it isn't.
A lot of these matches are like that, though, aren't they?
But I can see Vince McMahon reading it on paper, going, "Yes, this is going to be huge," like he does.
Yeah.
But there's no payoff. The commentators have to talk for ages while they take the turnbuckle off, they take the ropes off, so it's just the mat.
Oh, was it not already set up?
Well, no, because it's halfway through the actual pay-per-view.
Oh.
So then they have to tape the circle. They put like stage tape, on the mat. They get the buckets of salt. That's traditional in sumo wrestling. So it's a lot of kerfuffle. And the match is like 5 minutes. The Big Show gets dragged out off the mat and hits his back. It looks really painful, and he loses the match. And
was it a real sumo match, or was it sort of planned?
Yeah, it does look fairly real, but Big Show was never going to win. I don't think he can't win against a sumo legend.
Because I know with sumo wrestlers, it's a really great honour to be a sumo wrestler.
Oh yeah, and the referee is called the Japanese referee is it's not in like a black and white shirt. He's in a full Japanese gown, and he has his fan, and it's all very kind of religious the way they do it. And Big Show, credit to him, he does the salt to to purify the mat. He does all of that. He does everything in respect to sumo wrestling, but there's no payoff. It doesn't look good. On paper it does, but there's just no real payoff. And for that reason, I just think it's just a bit shite.
You just you just know though that because if this sumo wrestler is as big as you say he is, that just for that reason alone, like most of Japan would have probably been watching that WrestleMania just for that 5-minute match.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
it is kind of clever from WWE, but like you said, it's not good for everyone else.
Yeah.
Like it could have been amazing. I wouldn't put it in the middle of the card because, like you said, I've not seen it. If you've got to wait for them to, no, I don't know why. Maybe I've seen it and not even remembered it.
Yeah, I mean, you might have seen it but just forgot. It's gone out in the head because it's.
Like I mean, a 5-minute match as well.
Yeah, it's not long. For the amount they have to do all the work, get the ring off, and all that stuff, it just doesn't. There's no payoff. But having said that, I do credit Big Show because he does put himself out there. Like, remember when was it now? It was WrestleMania 24 when he was against Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
And he got legit, punched right in the face by Floyd Mayweather.
Have you ever heard the story about that? So, beforehand, like when before he was appearing on Raw, I think it was Raw, wasn't it? He said to Mayweather, he says, "You can hit me any way you like, just don't hit me in my nose because I don't want to have a nose."
Doesn't he?
And then so he was like, "Look, I don't care if you knock me out, it's fine. Just don't hit me in my nose." Mayweather was like, "Oh yeah, fine, yeah, no problems. I'll look after you." First thing he did was smack him in the nose.
Yeah, it was like a combo, weren't it? And he was bleeding.
Yeah, so it's real punches, and so that fired Big Show up for their match because he was just I told you not to break my nose, and what did you do?
As well, do you know how much Floyd Mayweather got from WWE for that match?
Oh, it'd be ridiculous, wouldn't it? Is it Wizard of Oz money?
20 million.
Wow.
And I know there's a lot of money in boxing, but we're not in boxing, we're in sports entertainment. They
must have thought that was worth it, though.
Yeah, it was, though. It was huge. I remember like my friends who were into boxing saying, "Oi, Floyd Mayweather's coming into WWE."
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It was.
Well, I think it's not as if he was past his prime. He was still in his sort of stage of being him, being the guy.
It's that thing where they want to cross over so they get boxing fans into wrestling and vice versa. With Tyson Fury and stuff. Yeah,
I think you always have that element because there's a fine line between sort of wrestling and boxing, isn't there? And how it's set up. It's similar, isn't it? You badmouth each other and then you have that match.
Yeah.
So they're quite similar. If you look at wrestling as a sport, they're similar sports.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree.
So I think you're always going to have that some sort of boxer appear. Everyone wants Conor McGregor to appear, but I just think that'd be really dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was going to happen a few years ago because there was a lot of hype about it. But
I don't think you could trust him. He doesn't care. He'd happily he could end someone's career.
Yeah, but it's not just his persona. I bet he does care, actually. Doesn't he?
I'm not sure. He's a hothead.
Yeah. But the sumo match, I mean, like I said, on paper it's good, but it just doesn't deliver, and that's why I've gone with thumbs down. It's just a terrible match, a terrible stipulation.
Is it the only one they've ever had? They've won in '94, did you say?
Yeah.
Did Yokozuna never have a sumo match then? Oh, you're dead. He was in that one, yeah?
Yeah, it was the one against Earthquake.
Ah, right. How weird. Do you know, I never realised Yokozuna wasn't Japanese till I was a lot older. Because he's Samoan, isn't he? But I think he plays that sort of character quite well.
Yeah. So what have you got next? What's your first match that you just think is a terrible stipulation?
Right. Okay. Now, know I'm trying to sell WCW here quite a lot, but they just have so many bad matches. This one's called the Chamber of Horrors match.
Okay.
Now, when you hear that, what do you think?
I think of horror villains, Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, that kind of stuff.
It's none of that. So it's, how do I describe it? It's in a cage, right?
Okay.
Kind of like a Hell in a Cell. It's in a Hell in a Cell cage.
Right, okay.
But it's really hard to see inside it if you're in the crowd.
Right, okay, that's a good start.
And inside that cage is a smaller cage with a chair in it. And the chair is an electric chair. You with me so far?
Yeah, okay.
Right? So this electric chair is electric, and the lever for the electric chair is on one corner of the Hell in a Cell cage. So you would, right, you with me so far?
Right, yeah, I think so.
So the objects, and this isn't one-on-one, this is a tag team match. This is, I think it was 1, 2, 3. This is 4-on-4. Yeah?
Right.
You with me so far?
I've got a few questions, carry on.
The object is to electrocute one of your opponents.
Right.
So to do that, you've got to sit them in the chair, make sure they stay in the chair, and pull the lever. Or if you work as a team, I suppose you wait till they put someone in the chair and you pull the lever. Yeah?
Okay. Right, okay, yeah.
So as I said, you can't really see it because the cage is just terrible. So what they did, this was at Halloween Havoc, which was one of like WCW's big events.
Mm.
You know, similar to, I mean, it's not the biggest event, but it's up there. It's a bit like SummerSlam or maybe Royal Rumble, something like that.
Yeah.
So what they did was they put a first-person camera on the referee.
Oh, really?
So that you could see the match. Yeah. So,
and what year was this?
1991. So, as I said, it's an 8-man tag. So you've got some good wrestlers in this match, by the way, but you can only see what the ref's seeing. So, as you probably know, watching a match, the referee doesn't always see everything.
Yeah.
Right? So, one reason this isn't going to work. So, on one team you had Sting, the Steiners, and a guy called El Gigante, who he was terrible.
Okay.
On the other team, you've got the Diamond Stud, which was Scott Hall before he was, what was he in WWE? Oh, I can't remember, but it's Scott Hall. Abdullah the Butcher, which is, you know Abdullah the Butcher, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
You've got Big Van Vader.
Okay.
And you've got Cactus Jack.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, so... Right, okay. I've got a few questions.
Right.
So, this lever, is it in the first cage or the second cage?
It's in the outside cage.
Right, okay.
So, wait, whoa, there's a funny thing about the lever. So during this is the only time they've ever done this match, and it's probably for this reason. The lever repeatedly kept falling down.
Brilliant.
So there was 2 referees, I think, and the referee kept having to climb up on the corner and putting the lever up, as you do.
Right. Okay. So, do you have to climb out the first cage, well, the inner cage, to pull the lever?
No.
Is there a door?
you're all in on the inside of the cage. It's on a wall of the cage.
Right. I mean, despite all of that, the thing that gets me is the camera on the ref. One, I'm quite shocked that they had a camera like on the ref in 1991.
Yeah.
That's it's quite.
It's ahead of its time, but
yeah. But like you said, the referee it turns and you know what I mean. There's always action going on somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean they did have cameras on the outside, but like I said, it was quite difficult to see. So they would use the first person view quite a lot.
It just sounds like a train wreck.
Yeah, it wasn't good to watch. It's not good. It's comical. It's like Carry On Wrestling.
So
when I say the lever keeps falling down, it's like sometimes.
So when they actually do pull a lever, and then the person, who was it that got shocked?
Right. So what happened was Abdullah the Butcher had put one of the Steiners. I can't remember which one it was because at the time they looked similar. I'd put one of the Steiners in the chair. Right. Now when that was going on, Cactus Jack's seen it. He's on Abdullah the Butcher's team, so he's doing a slow sort of going up to the lever that's fell down about 20 times, and he's holding it. He's checking. Yeah, Steiner's in. Now when he turns away, the Steiner brother grabs Abdullah the Butcher and puts him in the chair. Right, and Cactus Jack electrocutes his own teammate. Right, okay. Now what happens is Abdullah Butcher he's selling it. He's doing the whole like shaky thing. There's fireworks going off. However,
why fireworks?
It's honestly, you've got to see it. It's ridiculous. However, right, one thing that annoys me about it is, right, have you seen the Green Mile? Mm-hmm. Well, you know the electric chair in it. Yeah. For it to work, they have to put the thing on your head. Right? Yeah. So Abdullah the Butcher sat in the chair, and the thing that's meant to go on his head is about 6 inches off it. And he just, it's such a train wreck. They've never done it again. The commentators have no idea what's going on. They just can't believe what they're watching.
Wow. And whose idea was this?
Do you know what? I'm not sure. It was 91, so it was before Bischoff sort of appears. So it would be like whoever used to run. It's honestly, it's comical. You need to watch it just to be like, I can't believe what I'm watching.
Yeah, it sounds horrendous. So what were the fans like in the arena if they couldn't really see that much? Were they
yeah, I mean, like I said, you can't see, but you're very like, it's very like distorted what you can see. It's the cage is terrible. I mean,
imagine paying, a large amount of money to get a ringside seat, and then you can't really see what's going on.
Yeah. Oh, and also after this match, Abdullah the Butcher gets up and has a go at Cactus Jack for being electrocuted. And they sort of have a little fight.
It's fine after
they have a ding dong, and then he tries to chase the Steiners down the ramp.
Wow. Why were the fireworks? I can understand like sparks going off, but why fireworks?
It was, well, I think it was meant to look like sparks, but it was literally like fireworks going off.
Wow. Yeah,
honestly,
I understand why you picked that. That sounds horrendous.
I just remember when I first got the network, I thought, I used to love WCW. Let's go through all the pay-per-views, and I watched the Halloween Havocs like in 1 week, and I just remember seeing this thinking, what is this? 1991 was
I'm going to have to watch it,
It's worth a watch. It's terrible, but it's terrible. So I'm not saying it's good, but it's one of them you just think, what's he doing?
Oh, I look forward to that. Right, let's do a contrast, and let's do a good match. Good stipulation. Yeah. Right, now, I've gone with one which not many people have heard of. I've gone with a scramble match.
A scramble match.
Scramble match. Any idea what it could be?
I'm trying to think. Right, the only thing I can think of when I hear scramble is what they did. Do you know like XFL?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you watched the documentary on it, but they had like a scramble at the start of each match where each team had a runner who would run towards the ball, and they would call it a scramble, but they had to stop doing it because the players kept falling over and breaking like a wrist or something.
Right. Okay. No. So explain this.
That's all I can think of.
There's only been 4 in the entire history.
Right.
3 was in the one night. So 3 out of 4 of these matches was in one pay-per-view, Unforgiven 2008. And it was for the Raw title, SmackDown title, and ECW title. And then a year later, that Backlash 2009. But I'm going to concentrate on the Unforgiven 2008 pay-per-view. So a scramble match is, I'll read you the rules now. So it's a 20-minute time limit. 2 superstars enter first, sort of like a Royal Rumble. 2 superstars enter at the same time. Then every 5 minutes, another superstar enters. And you can pin, you can submit everything you can in one fall. And if you get a pin during that 20 minutes, you are the champion. But whoever's the champion at the end of the 20 minutes wins the belt.
Ah.
Are you with me?
Yes, so kind of like the 24/7 sort of idea, but just during that one match.
Yeah.
So what belt did they do this for?
So on Unforgiven 2008, it was the Raw title, SmackDown title, and the ECW title.
What? All of them?
Oh no, sorry. So one match was Raw for the Raw.
Yeah, because there was 3 matches.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
And then later it was for the Backlash. Now I don't know why they stopped the match, because I love this match. For the ECW title, it was Matt Hardy, The Miz, Chavo, Mark Henry, who was the champion, and Finlay.
Wow. And
do you know what? Unforgiven, the matches, the scramble match, was such good matches. And even the other one for the starts for the ECW title, one for the SmackDown title was it was Batista, Rey Mysterio, and there's a few other superstars, but there was meant to be CM Punk, but CM Punk didn't enter. Chris Jericho took his place.
Right.
So the belt was switching, and Batista had it for most of the match because Batista was cleaning house. Jericho comes in. Now Jericho's already had a match previous in that event, so you can tell he's not walking straight. He's injured. Comes into the ring, gets floored by Batista, and Batista pins RVD to get the belt.
Mm-hmm.
There's about 10 seconds left. Batista's celebrating. Chris Jericho comes in under the ropes, sneaks in, pins behind Batista's back, and wins the belt. And Batista's is shocked, he's fuming. He's just lost the belt in essentially 10 seconds.
Oh wow!
But I think it's such a good idea about how the belt switches.
Yeah, it does sound good. How does that go on your records though?
Yes, so on the ECW title, Matt Hardy had so ECW title, Matt Hardy was he won the match, but Chavo had the belt during the match, but Chavo does not get a he does not
recognition about it.
Yeah, recognition. He's not recognized champion because it's not officially a champion until the 20 minutes is over.
Right, I see. Yeah.
But I mean, I just think it's such good idea of just this kind of, everyone for himself. He's champion, then he's a champion, and then 20 minutes is over, and then the last one with the belt wins the belt.
Yeah.
I just love that idea, and I think if you threw that in there with some mid card and some main eventers right now, so you stick in let's stick in so Drew McIntyre, you threw in the Bro, Matt Riddle, or just Riddle.
Yeah.
You have all these superstars who are kind of completely different in their own way.
Yeah, I think it would definitely be a good match to watch, because it's like you said, because I'd imagine as well, just thinking from WWE's perspective, it's good to, when the crowds are back, to hear the reaction when someone suddenly gets a belt during that 20 minutes. What kind of reaction they get?
Well, on the ECW title, when Matt Hardy won it, the crowd went insane, and you know what I mean? Like, it was, I guess it was kind of an upset because he won it off Mark Henry. He was a champion at that point.
Yeah, that sounds like quite a good one.
So you had three in that.
You had three in that one night. When was the other one?
A year later at Backlash.
Right, and who was that?
What's that?
What title was that for?
That was the World Heavyweight Championship.
So they've done it for like decent belts as well.
Yeah.
It sounds interesting. I've never seen them. Again, I don't know how I've missed them. Maybe I have and not even realised what was going on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I forgot it existed for a while. I mean, I remembered it when I was kind of recalling.
It does ring a bell, but I remember like around that time is when I was like working behind the bar and we were showing it. So it was most probably that I'd seen it and not realised what was going on, because I don't think I had commentary on. But yeah, that sounds pretty good.
What have you got for your first good stipulation match?
All my good ones people will know.
Okay.
However, I don't think people appreciate how good they are for like watching. So my first one will go with an Inferno match. It's
just
a well-known
before I'm just going to interrupt you for a second. It's just been announced, it's breaking news just before we did this podcast, that at TLC is going to be an Inferno match.
Is there?
Yeah.
Against who? The Fiend and Randy Orton?
The Fiend and Randy Orton.
How can you set Randy Orton on fire? He has like little pants on.
Well, I don't know. I don't think it will be. It probably won't be set fire.
Is he got to wear a tracksuit? I just don't know how that's going to work for me.
But sorry, right. I just thought it in.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I've seen the thing where he set him on fire, didn't he? On was it Raw?
Yeah. Well, like I said, it was breaking news just before we went on before we started recording.
So there's a couple of things with an Inferno match. So there was the first one ever was in Puerto Rico. I don't know if this is where WWE got their idea, but how they did it was, this was in 1987, a good year, because it's the year I was born. They soaked the ropes in like a flammable liquid and just set the ropes on fire and had a match inside it. But that was basically all they did with that. So then you skip forward sort of 20 odd years and you've obviously got the Kane character. And they come up with this match. Now, how WWE did it, they really like planned this quite well. Which, just something else I'm going to talk about that happened around the same time and they didn't plan it very well and it didn't work. But I think because they really planned this, but it was two of the biggest stars at the time. So you've got, the first one was against Kane and Undertaker. So the concept of it is that you've got to set your opponent on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what they did is, it's hard to explain, isn't it? It's sort of, they had like flames surrounding the ring, and then you have to set your opponent on fire. Now, Kane's been in every Inferno match there's only been 4.
I didn't know there was that many.
Yeah, there's 4. Okay, like I said, Kane's been in every one because it's sort of his match. So it's weird that the Fiend's and Randy Orton and there's no Kane. It'll be the first time. However, what I didn't realise is that they had one at a Raw. So you had one at Unforgiven 98, and then a year later they had one at Raw.
Okay.
So, which was against The Undertaker as well, which he lost. So Kane has lost the first 2 Infernos, and it's meant to be his match. His third one was against Triple H.
And did he win that match?
Which was
against Triple H.
That was at a SmackDown as well. That was in '99. No, Triple H won.
Okay.
He's only won one match, and that was against MVP in 2006, which is the most recent one.
MVP?
Yeah.
What a weird match.
I know. When I read it, I was like, really? Like, why is MVP getting an Inferno match?
That's so weird. That's really threw me off, that.
Yeah, so like I was saying, to set up the match, they actually got people from Hollywood involved and how they would go about it. Because what they did was
very much kind of big production, weren't it?
Yeah, they came up with the idea and then was like, right, well, how do we do it? And so they had stuntmen involved, how they would set Kane alight and stuff like that.
But I mean, I don't know if you've read about this, but it's especially on the new documentaries that are coming out about The Undertaker and Kane. The Undertaker says that during that match, the heat is just unbearable, and you know what I mean. They can't really breathe. It's not good to wrestle in that Inferno match. Yeah,
because they were controlling the flames as well. So
yeah, it's something bouncing the mat. The tech guy would bump up the flames.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing match to watch.
Yeah,
like you say, it must have been so hot because I think we mentioned it before when we went to see Raw, and the Undertaker came back. They did the flames, and how far back we were, you could feel the heat of the flames on you.
Yeah, and you could smell it as well, couldn't you? You could smell like.
So imagine being surrounded by that.
I know.
I don't even know how they got past insurance for that match, because it's so dangerous. But it's quite controlled.
Actually, you make a good point. I wonder how they're going to do it now because, you know what I mean, safety and everything is very much of the time, isn't it? So
I remember around that time, now, I was just thinking about this before, right? You know, you had just to go off topic slightly, do you remember the magic show you had with the masked magician telling you to do magic tricks?
Yeah, it was on Bravo, wasn't it?
Yeah, he had to hide his identity because the magic circle would do things to him. So at the time, there was one released that I remember watching about wrestling and how wrestling's done. It's done in the same sort of style. So I think that's when, I'm sure that's around the time people started saying, oh, it's not actually what you think it is. You know, in school, because they'd seen it. I think it was on Channel 5.
Yeah, don't use the F word.
I didn't.
Good.
I just said it wasn't what you think it is.
Yeah.
But I remember one of my mates at the time telling me that the fire wasn't real. It was like a fire you can get where it's cold. Like,
amazing.
Totally lying to it. Because he said it again. It's just people bullshit so much. You know,
I'm just wondering, John, where is he now? Do you know?
I've no idea. I'm not. I remember the Hell in a Cell with Cactus Jack and Triple H. You know, when he gets hit with the barbed wire that was on fire, sort of.
Yeah, that was insane.
And he's like, oh, it's fake. It's rubber barbed wire, that. And the fire, it's a fire you can touch it. It doesn't burn you. It's cold.
I bet he's like a trolley boy at Tesco or something now, isn't he? Nothing against, trolley boys, but...
But it was before internet, so you had no way of like looking it up. You know what it's like when you when your mates tell you something, you're just like, yeah, of course that's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've still not found this fire that you can touch and is cold, but sounds pretty cool. Now, WCW did their own attempt at it.
Oh, here we go. This is going to be good.
It's not. I watched it. It's bizarre. So they obviously couldn't call it an Inferno match because there was a bit to and fro about them using each other's sort of named things. So they called it a Human Torch match.
Right.
And this was in 2000 at the Great American Bash. I need to stop telling you bad things about WCW because believe me, there was some good things. And this was terrible. So this was
Bring
against
RoboCop down.
This was Sting. Sting, yeah. I've got to say, Sting got a bad go at things there, didn't he? It's just not anything he's involved with. It just seemed to be ridiculous.
Mm.
So it's Sting against Vampiro, and they had this match, but it's not set up the same way as WWE did, where the fire was surrounding the ring, but it was still the same outcome. So there was only one torch that Sting came in with, right? And the idea was that you had to set the other one on fire,
right?
With this torch.
Yeah.
So Vampiro comes in. He's got a can of petrol with him, and he's waiting in the ring. Sting appears. He's at the top of the Titantron, or whatever WCW called it, and he's got the torch. And he's like, "If you want to set me on fire, you're going to come up here. You got to come up here." By the time I think Vampiro was doing that, he was just scared of heights, so he couldn't go up. So Sting's left the torch at the top of the Titantron, and he's abseiled down. They start fighting. Eventually, they make it back up to the top of the Titantron, and it's so bad. So Sting in the match gets covered in petrol, and I mean, it must have been amazing watching it live, but watching it on thing, you can see there's a clear swap because I think they used a stuntman to be set on fire.
Right.
So yeah. Sting's trousers get set alight. So when Kieran, you're at the top of the Titantron, your legs are on fire. What do you do? What's the sensible thing to do?
Well, I know what WCW do. Do they jump off? Is it like a tiny pool or something?
Yeah. Well, there's no like stop, drop, and roll going on.
Yeah.
And the commentators, you can tell. You need to see it. The commentators can tell how bad this is because it's just like, well, of course. Why was he jumping off? Maybe he didn't know what he was doing. He jumps off and he lands on the landing mat, which is clearly marked. There's a white spot for the guy to jump on. It's clearly not Sting because what they do then, so he's on fire. He falls to this landing mat. There's about 20 referees all putting a fire extinguisher on him, so he's all smoke, so you can't see Sting at all because it's obviously not really Sting that's done this sort of stunt. And that was the end of the match. And the commentators was just like, I can't believe what I've just seen. Why does Sting jump? Why did he? What are you meant to do when your legs are on fire and all this? And it's just like, silly.
Wow.
And you use that line, he's got kids. But it's terrible. Again, it's just terrible.
Well, the Inferno match for WWE was really good.
Yeah, every one I've seen. I've not seen the MVP one, but every other one is good, and it's worth. It is because it feels like more an event. I think because there's not many of them. Yeah, I think it's always.
Yeah.
It's a real spectacle of a match to watch.
Yeah, in my head, that's what I just imagined Vince doing. Finding out the match, amazing. It's going to be a spectacular event.
Yeah.
Spectacular.
It just baffles me though that they went, well, we'll just have a match where you're surrounded by fire and you've got to set when you're on fire. They don't know, well, how are we going to do that? You know what I mean? It's just all right.
It's just so Vince McMahon, isn't it? Right, yeah. We need something big, we need fire, brilliant, let's do it. How are we going to do it? We'll work that out later, let's just get it done.
Well, that's what happened with the, I mean, I don't know your picks, but that's what happened with the Elimination Chamber, and why it's so brutal is because they didn't think, oh, let's make this look really good and it's safe for the wrestlers to use. They literally just built it, and it's painful for the wrestlers to use because it's literally just chains and
yeah.
Sometimes our thinking isn't always the best. It's kind of like with idea first and then how we're going to do it later.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But yeah.
Let me go on to my other match that I think is just embarrassing. So, this is called a gravy bowl match.
A gravy bowl match?
Mm-hmm.
God.
Right, so it's Thanksgiving in America.
Of course it is.
1999. So it's Ivory versus Jacqueline.
Oh, God.
Now, it is like a paddling pool full of gravy. And it doesn't look nice. It's not thick. It's just thin water gravy. You know, it doesn't look nice at all. And Kitty, remember Kitty the diva? She was the special referee. And these Ivory and Jacqueline are wrestling. They're slipping all over the place. Jacqueline wins in about 2 minutes. There's a funny moment where Jacqueline gets Ivory and does like a face buster, and there's just gravy splatting everywhere. So Jacqueline pins Ivory. Jacqueline, she goes off. Ivory, she's fuming. You know, she's slipping all over the place. Who does she have a go at? The referee. So she pulls Kitty, who's been trying to kind of get away from this gravy, you know, trying to not get splashed. So Ivory pulls her in, slaps her, splashes her, all kind of stuff. It just looks embarrassing. But it gets worse. The EMTs, the paramedics, come to make sure that Ivory is okay. And there's this EMT who is helping Ivory out, and Ivory's, you know, she's feeling, she's like, get off me, and she pulls the shirt off this paramedic, this EMT, and so she's in a bra. This EMT, I know 2 reasons why they've used her. let's just leave it as that. You know what I mean? She's very, yeah.
Are you saying she may not have been an EMT, Kieran?
I definitely do not think she was. So then God. She gets pulled in, and then they're wrestling, and obviously the king is commenting on it.
Puppies.
Yeah, well, no, I don't think he says that. So it's the coachman, and the coachman saying, that's disgusting, this poor lady, this poor EMT, put yourself in her shoes, how would you feel? What does the king say? Have a guess. What do you think the king would say?
How would you feel? With both hands?
Sort of. I'd rather put myself in her cups. Which coachman is yeah, no, coachman is like, what? You can tell he's genuinely shocked. I'd rather put myself in her cups. It's just, the commentary is just, it's horrible. The fact that the women have to fight in a gravy bowl, never mind they wanted to do it or not, they shouldn't be doing it.
What was the storyline leading up to that, though? Who decided, I want to wrestle you in gravy? Was there any of that? Or is it just...
It's because it was Thanksgiving, they're like, let's fight in a gravy
so
bowl.
Bad, isn't it?
Yeah. But there's one 2 years later, Trish Stratus and Stacy Keibler, which isn't any good either. Even if you think Trish Stratus and Stacy Keibler are good-looking women, or whatever, it's not a good match, and it's not good for women wrestling.
No.
I would rather see Charlotte Flair drop kick Trish Stratus right in the face, and do like a figure four leg lock, then fighting a ball of gravy.
Yeah.
It's just horrendous. Like, why do these matches exist?
These matches at the time was just terrible.
So that's all I'm going to say on that one. But it's just, these matches should not. I mean, luckily they don't really exist anymore because of the women evolution, which is obviously amazing. But yeah, back then there were some horrible ones like the Braz and Panties match and stuff. They were just terrible.
Yeah, it's just of the time. I mean, it's not a good thing, but it's just what happened in them days.
Yeah. Right, go on. Let's have your
I can't believe
next one.
Two. I can't believe there's two of them.
I know. Well, there was another one on NXT as well, I think, in the very early stages of NXT. But...
Okay, so I think what I'm about to talk about, they're all in WCW again.
For fuck's sake.
So sometimes I like this match because it makes sense, right?
I don't think anything WCW does make sense.
No, this match does. Sometimes. Okay. Let me just get to that. These are 3 examples that I've seen, and I'm like, why are you doing that, right? So I picked on a pole match. Yeah.
Right. I do know this match, and I think I know where you're going with this one.
There's 3 examples of bad ones, but usually on a pole match, it would be like it'll be a weapon on a pole usually, and if you use the weapon, you win. Yeah.
Yeah.
You with me?
Yeah.
These matches aren't like that at all. They make no sense. I mean, there's been like a chair on a pole match I've seen.
Right. John. Hello?
Okay. So there's been stuff like a chair on a pole match, which again, you get the chair from the pole, you use the chair, you win the match. Now, these 3, I'll do it in this order. So this match is called, it's on a pole match, right? But they're never used on a pole in the title of the match. I have no idea why. I think because people were sick of on a pole matches in WCW. This was called a San Francisco 49er match. Are you with me?
It's American football.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was Booker T. Oh, I can't remember who he was against, but it was Booker T. It's famous for the Booker T moment in it. This was a match for the WCW Championship, which at the time they was just thrown out around the place. Like somebody was winning it every week, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in each corner of the ring is a pole.
Yeah.
Yeah. With like a wooden box, and the idea is the belt is in one of the boxes, and if you get the box. If you get the belt, you win the match. Kind of like Money in the Bank, you've got to get the ring. But you've got to guess which box has the belt in.
Right, okay, so I'm confused with the American football term.
I've no idea. I don't know if it's some reference to them. All right, so these are what was, I think this is in order, what was in each box. So it's a kind of hardcore match for a belt. What would you want in your first box? Kieran.
Well, the belt.
Apart from the belt's obviously going to be last.
Oh, okay. So then you'd want a weapon, wouldn't you? You want like a kendo stick, so like brass knuckles.
Yeah, a bat.
But, yeah, American football. So maybe like
a chain.
I don't get the sense. I don't get the reference to American football. But yeah, what's in it? Because it's ECW. I know it's going to be something weird.
It's WCW, but yeah. So it was a blow-up doll.
What?
It was a blow-up sex doll.
Why?
Exactly.
ECW.
Why?
What is wrong with you?
Right, second box. You've had the disappointment of the blow up doll. What are you wanting in your second box? I'll give you a clue. These don't get better.
Right. Okay. So let's think. It's ECW. It's in the 90s. We just had a blow up doll, sex doll. I'm gonna go with a gim mask or maybe them like chains that you put in your mouth with the ball in your mouth.
No. If only. It was a coal miner's glove.
What?
A coal miner's glove. That's what you want in a match.
My head hurts. I don't understand.
But just remember as well, they didn't want to tarnish this match on a pole match, so they gave it a special name.
It's like they've done like they've got like a hat full of just random stuff, and they go, right, we'll call it, and then the American football term, and we'll have a box, pull it out, sex doll, and the other one will pull out.
A coal miner's glove. Right, so the third one, so you've had them two, obviously no help to you. You're trying to find this belt. You want to get this belt. You're going for the championship.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
I'm guessing the belt's not in there or something like. Is it like Saw where you have to do a puzzle to get the belt or something?
No, we're only on the third. There's 4 boxes, so.
Oh, there's another box. Okay. Yeah. So let's have a look. In a box, I would say. Let's see. So that's not useful. Something dead bizarre. I would say a rubber ducky.
Ooh, no. It was a picture of Scott Hall.
like signed picture.
I'm not sure if it was signed. It was just a picture of him.
So they've also done it like so like you open the box and it's like a boogie prize, isn't it, or something?
It's like parcel, isn't it? Oh, you're getting a little sweet. I want a little £1 toy in the middle.
It's just
so anyway,
weird.
So then 3 get opened. You get to the 4th one. It's the last box. Yeah.
Right.
Booker T climbs up. He touches the box. The belt just falls to the ground. The referee. So Booker T's on this turnbuckle, looking down at the belt on the mat because it just fell out with no effort at all. So the referee has to awkwardly hand him the belt, and then that's him champion. Honestly,
you don't sell WCW like this. Doesn't make it any more appealing to me.
Remember, I've got 2 other matches yet. That was only one of them.
I know one of them, I believe.
Yeah, maybe the next one. You probably know 2. So the next one is Judy Bagwell. No, that's.
Oh no! Yes, no, I do know this one because you introduced me to this match.
Yeah, Judy Bagwell on a pole match.
So this is the mother. Is it the mother of a wrestler?
Yeah. So you got Buff Bagwell.
Yeah.
No, I remember who's like kidnapped his mom. Somebody kidnapped his mom, was in a match with him.
Yeah, as you do.
So he's trying to get him to come to the match. So he puts him on top of. It's not on top of a pole. It's on top of a forklift. Yeah,
it's on a forklift high up. Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen so they have this match. This match is just ridiculous. It's just bizarre.
Was it not Halloween Havoc?
I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
But David Arquette does a run-in.
Yes. I remember seeing this match and I was just a bit like, there's no real story to it. It's just thrown together.
The fact it's called Judy Bagwell in a pole match. But like I said to you, the reason for pole matches usually is you get a weapon, you use the weapon, you win. What's the point? Why is Judy Bagwell on top of a forklift overseeing this match?
Just use the mother as a weapon.
But she's of no use. I don't understand that. It's just bizarre. It's ridiculous.
That poor woman.
Right, the last one which you said.
Hello, Mum. Right, okay. I know you want to come see me wrestle. Well, I've got this idea for you.
Yeah. That's just. I mean, she would have got paid. To be fair. It's on top of a forklift. I mean, it's bizarre. Yeah. And the last one, which you've said, is Viagra on a pole match. Again, you're meant to use what's on the pole as a weapon, and you win the match. Why is a Viagra on a pole?
I mean, to be fair,
storyline-wise, so what happened was, this is a match against Shane Douglas and Billy Kidman.
Right.
And storyline-wise, Shane Douglas is dating Billy Kidman's ex-girlfriend.
Okay.
And Billy Kidman makes a joke that he can't get it up. He needs Viagra. So you say that, what do you think? Oh, let's have a match where the other one's got to force feed the other one Viagra. And that's what they do. However,
I don't understand.
The match was won by a pin. And they both tried to feed each other Viagra.
Did they both eat Viagra or just one of them?
I don't think it's real Viagra, but like, they both tried to feed each other it. It's really weird. Viagra on a pole match. Why isn't that in any of the WWE games? So, on a pole match, what do you think? Next pay-per-view?
Oh, God. I mean, I know there's been a Canadian pole match in wrestling, hasn't there?
Yeah, something to do with the flag, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a few, but they're just not very good, are they?
None of these ones made any sense to me. Like,
yeah, but even when they do make sense, they're not exciting. It's a bit of a dull match anyway.
Yeah, I mean, out of all them to watch, they've all got comical elements in it, especially the one with Booker T trying to get a belt and it just falls to the mat. I mean, it's embarrassing. I feel sorry for Booker T in that, but he becomes champion from it. Yeah.
Wow.
It's on a pole match.
You might be a bit shocked with my next one. Now, hear me out. When you hear this match, you think, oh, God. But I'm going to try and defend it. Okay. I've gone with a hair vs hair match.
Oh, God.
Now, see, I need to do that. Stop it, right? Just hear me out.
To be fair, well, go on. I mean, it's a traditional match.
I love it. I think it's quite exciting because normally the story is, the wrestlers get into an argument and someone's got long, hair, and their hair is kind of more or less their image.
Yeah.
And there's a chance that they're going to get the hair cut off. It's quite an exciting kind of, oh my God, Kurt Angle might be bald. And it is an exciting kind of outcome that it might actually happen.
I only remember 2, maybe 3 that you said Kurt Angle.
Yeah, there's been 3. Well, I'll get to that. So, Chris Jericho and Kevin Nash.
Ooh.
Now, this match, despite the hair vs hair match, it was a fantastic wrestling match. Kevin Nash and Y2J are great wrestlers, and they put on a great show. And then in the end, Chris Jericho gives him a low blow while the referee isn't looking, and he pulls out the knuckle dusters from his boots and soccer punches Kevin Nash, and he pins him. And as he pins him, he gets the razors and shaves off Kevin Nash's. He cuts off his hair, cuts off big chunks of his hair. Now, retrospect, Kevin Nash only did that because he had a new part in the film, The Punisher, the Marvel film.
Yeah.
Anyone seen the film? He plays that hench sailor. Mm-hmm. So that's the first one.
Yeah.
The second one was 2 divas. Any idea who?
2 The Divas.
Yeah. It was
No
WrestleMania 20.
Mm.
It was
What year was
Molly
that?
Holly
Oh,
and
yeah.
Victoria.
Because Molly Holly
Now,
cut her hair short, didn't she?
well, yeah, that was just before. So she's lost and she got strapped into the chair, and she was her head shaven. And I remember watching this match thinking, oh my, she's actually shaving her hair, because you know what I mean. Women's hair, is
Yeah.
it was quite a shocking thing, and that's what I'm trying to portray, is this like shock element of they're actually cutting their hair.
Yeah.
The next one. So this one is kind of a heavy's hair match. So it's Rey Mysterio and CM Punk.
Yeah.
So backstory to this is CM Punk is kind of doing what Seth Rollins is doing now. He's that kind of Monday Night Messiah. That's what CM Punk was back then, and he wanted Rey Mysterio to join his Punk straight edge society. So if CM Punk won the match, Rey Mysterio would join his team. If Rey Mysterio won, he would cut off CM Punk's hair.
Oh.
But I never thought there's no way CM Punk's going to get his hair cut. There's no way. But this match, yet again, it's a brutal match. Rey Mysterio handcuffs CM Punk to the ropes. And even before that, they get busted open, CM Punk does, and there's blood everywhere. It's a bloody match. And then finally, Rey Mysterio gets the pin and wins, and he starts to shave off CM Punk's hair.
God.
And it's that moment of like, oh my god, that's what does it for me. This hair match.
Yeah, I think. See, it's only. Are you sure there's only been 3?
No, there's been 2 more.
I was going to say, because you had
these are the more famous ones.
I remember one with Jeff Jarrett.
Yes, but that wasn't WWE. I don't think. I think that was. I think it might have been ECW.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's the Kurt Angle and Edge match.
Yeah.
Now, I had no idea who was going to win this, because in my head, Kurt Angle isn't going to get his head shaved because he's an Olympic champion. You know what I mean? He's, like it just didn't make sense for him. But then Edge had this long hair.
Yeah.
And
so you didn't know who was going to win.
Right at the end, I didn't know who was going to win. And when Kurt Angle lost, it was so funny because Kurt Angle kept running away from Edge backstage, if you remember.
Mm.
And there used to be little vignettes right through the pay-per-view where Angle's hiding behind a newspaper and stuff while Edge is running, trying to find him. And in the end, Edge catches up with him, beats him up, and kind of puts him in the chair. And Angle's kind of knocked out in the chair, and Edge is shaving his head. And then he slaps him. Angle wakes up, and he realises his head is shaved. And he goes mental, doesn't he? And he wears that head strain.
Yeah, I remember that.
I mean, it was just so funny, and I just loved the whole build-up and the outcome, and then the finish of the match.
Mm. It's definitely quite a spectacle, isn't it? The hair versus hair.
Yeah, I love it. I know it's a bit daft, but I love it. And then the most famous one is with, I was going to say the current president, but he isn't the current president anymore, is he?
Well, technically no. He has for another couple of weeks.
Yeah, let's not get into politics. But it was Trump vs Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Now, this was like a tug of war, because I was thinking in my head, Vince McMahon isn't going to get his head shaved because he's Vince McMahon. There's no way. Mm. But Donald Trump isn't going to get his head shaved because it's Donald Trump.
Yeah.
It was millionaire versus millionaire, or even billionaire, sorry. And the build-up to the match was fantastic. Donald Trump wrestling, maybe not so great.
Mm. It's bizarre, wasn't it?
It was a bit bizarre. But Vince McMahon lost and he got his head shaved. And like Vince McMahon sat in that chair getting his head shaved. you just couldn't believe it. This is the owner of the company is head shaved.
Yeah, because he's grown his hair back now, hasn't he? As well, it's not as if he was doing it. Because he was going to have his hair short, which a lot of the times was. I think, like with the Kurt Angle thing, I'm sure he was starting to go bald, is why he ended up wanting his hair shaved. Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure there isn't another motive behind it, but like I said, I know people go, "Oh, fuck's sake, a hair match," but I like it. I think it's entertaining.
There's a story to it, isn't there? Which is always good. I don't mind the hair versus hair. It's just, I think I always think of the Donald Trump one because that's probably the most famous one.
But I mean, if you get a chance, you should watch the Chris Jericho and Kevin Nash one. Even the Rey Mysterio and CM Punk. The actual matches are fantastic.
Yeah, it's still a thing, isn't it? Weren't they going to do a hair versus hair in WrestleMania?
With NXT, but then they decided that she just had to leave the company.
Yeah. I mean, it may come back, but it's quite a famous match because I think when it was territory days, they would always do that sort of match as well to certain wrestlers.
There was actually another one way before my time. It was Jerry the King Lawler with Austin Idol.
Oh.
So and basically Jerry the King Lawler gets his head shaven, and that was like 1987, I believe.
A good year again.
But yeah, so there was another hair match. But yeah,
I think it's one of them that comes around every so often, and it's just
if it can happen again, it needs to be someone with a good lock of hair, like Drew McIntyre,
Riddle.
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre versus Riddle.
Yeah.
Well, even Brock Lesnar.
Brock
Lesnar suddenly decided he's going to shave his head because you wouldn't believe that he would ever shave his head.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's that possibility of, oh my god, they might actually be bald, and it's that sports entertainment that's why I picked the match.
Yeah, I think good show. It's a good stipulation.
Okay. What have you got?
Well, see, again, I said mine are well known.
Please don't say it's WCW.
No. It's probably one of my favourite matches. My favourite match is always the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
However, this as like a match, and you can have any time, is Hell in a Cell.
Okay.
Now again, they came up with the idea, but they didn't fully know how to execute it. So they'd made this cage with a roof, but they never intended anybody to go on the roof, so they didn't make it sustainable for somebody to be up there.
And then Mankind came along.
Well, yeah. However, when I was reading up about it, there's a lot of things I didn't know. So, obviously, the first Hell in a Cell was the introduction of Kane.
Where he ripped the door off, yeah.
So the first one was the introduction of Kane, and it was... it's fair, isn't it? It was Undertaker against Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Do you know what the second match was of Hell in a Cell?
Well, that was like 90. That was 97, was it?
Yeah. So I always thought the second Hell in a Cell match was the Undertaker against Mankind.
Yeah, that was 98. Yeah.
However, no, there was the match before it.
Okay.
And it was on a Raw. And it was a Tornado tag team match.
Okay.
It was a couple of weeks before the famous Mankind Undertaker match. So it was Kane and Mankind against Stone Cold and Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell match. Okay. And it's on a Raw. I mean, can you imagine having a Hell in a Cell on a Raw? These days, I don't think it'd ever happen.
Well, was that just a testing out, maybe?
I don't know, no, because he had the first one against Shawn Michaels.
Oh yes.
I think it was for storyline because obviously you had the match Undertaker Mankind, then you had the First Blood match with Stone Cold and Kane, so they were mixing teams up. And then obviously probably one of the best matches you'll ever see, Mankind and Undertaker. It's such a story that is just unbelievable. I mean, we could have a whole show just talking about that, and the match is only like 6 minutes or something. As well, so I always thought I didn't realise how many they had Hell in a Cells on Raw and SmackDowns, which seems bizarre to me because it's such a structure to sort of travel. So between, so then I always thought the next match after that was at WrestleMania, and it was Undertaker and Big Boss Man. You know where he hangs the Big Boss Man? Mm-hmm. There was a match before that between Mankind and Taker as well, and it was on a SmackDown, I think. Okay. Which again, imagine just having SmackDown and there's a Hell in a Cell in it. Huh. It's such a big match. This is when it wasn't like you see it all the time. Yeah. So yeah, that was against Kane and Mankind, sort of, and it ended in a no contest. I mean, the Hell in a Cell is one of the best things to come from wrestling. Like, it's such a spectacle. Some of the matches, some of the matches are unbelievable. I've said this before on here. I'm not the biggest fan of the pay-per-view of it, simply because they have too many Hell in a Cells. That if there's like 4 Hell in a Cell matches, the first one they're not wrecking the cage at all, are they? Because you've got another 3 matches to go. Yeah, if you're having a Hell in a Cell, you want someone to go through it, don't you? So, can you guess how many Hell in a Cell matches there's been? I bet there's been quite a few. Double figures. 45. Shit. Yeah. That's a lot. Huh. I didn't think it'd be that many. I thought it'd be like, I was going to say about 22. And most. The 3 top people who's appeared in a Hell in a Cell. Any idea who they would be? Triple H, Mankind, Undertaker. Undertaker's got the most. He's been in 14. And then it's Triple H, who's 9. Yeah. But third, which I thought was quite a surprise, but when you think about it, not really, was Randy Orton. Okay. He's been in 8. Yeah. But yeah, I just think it's as well, like, we spoke about playing like PlayStation games and stuff like that. It's always the one I want to do a match of. Yeah. There's nothing better than just flinging someone off the top of it. And it makes wrestling look better, when you're thrown against the cage, or like Triple H is grinding your face across the metal cage. Yeah. The problem as well with the pay-per-view is that it's not a big deal anymore. Like, when I was watching it, I remember when it was Mick Foley's retirement match. He had to win Hell in a Cell, or he had to retire. And it's what I was speaking about before with the flaming sort of barbed wire piece of wood and that. It was a big event that it was going to be in a Hell in a Cell because they really built it up, and it was like, it was quite rare of a match to see. The fact that there's been 45 now, it's kind of like... Yeah, that's a lot. It's just too much, isn't it? Yeah. It's still one of my favourite matches to watch, if it's done right. Yeah. I mean, you do get some terrible ones, but yeah. Yeah. I think the first one's obviously had so much drama in it, like with the entrance of Kane coming in, and you had, Shawn Michaels and Undertaker coming off the side of it. It didn't quite make it to the top and stuff like that. Yeah, Hell in a Cell. Yeah, I think that's a good shout. Are we on our last stipulation that we think is just a farce? Yeah.
So
shall I go, because mine sort of relates to the last one I spoke to?
Yeah, go on then. Yeah, go ahead.
So, speaking about Hell in a Cell, my next bad one is a match called Hell in a Kennel.
Right, okay, now I know this match quite well, to be honest, and I know the backstory, and it's a bizarre one, isn't it? Yeah, go on.
Right, so storyline wise, Al Snow had got rid of Head for a while. It's like, what is it, 98, 99? It's that kind of thing. So this is around the time of the Inferno match. So you think how much planning went into the Inferno match, and it was amazing. This match could have been amazing to see and a real spectacle, but this wasn't planned right. So storyline wise, Al Snow gets this dog, he calls it Pepper, and Pepper gets kidnapped by the big boss man. It all gets filmed. Of course it's filmed. They're in this hotel room, randomly. Big boss man's like, I'm really sorry, I'll give you your dog back. I want to make you a meal to say I'm sorry. So Al Snow's eating this meal, and he's like, oh, do you like the meal? And Al Snow's like, oh yeah, it's nice, what do you call this? The big boss man's like, oh, I call it pepper steak. And he's like, you're eating your dog. Now, what I've found out recently, that's actually a true story, and based on a true story.
Well, it's in Al Snow's book.
Yeah. So, Mr. Fuji, which some people might know, he's always been he's quite a good ribber. Apparently, his neighbour had a barking dog that just barked all the time, and he got really annoyed and killed the dog, and decided to put it in a stew, and he gave the stew to his neighbour to say, like, I'm sick of your dog barking, so you're going to eat him. So they based it off of that story. Apparently it's true, and it's been verified by quite a few people.
Yeah, I've heard it a few times.
So anyway, so this happens in storyline mode. So as a sort of payback, they come up with this match. So the idea with the match was that it would be a Hell in a Cell match. Okay, and then on the outside of that would be another cage. And in between these cages would be Rottweilers.
Trained to bite.
Yeah, so to win the match, you had to escape through the Hell in a Cell and then the next match while avoiding all the dogs. Which, would have been good if they'd got trained dogs, trained it to attack them, but not harm them.
So I think what happened was
plan for it.
They got the dogs. They didn't arrange the dogs to the very last minute, and on the day they tried bringing up everywhere in the states that they want, and they couldn't find any trained dogs that were like sort of like police dogs that were trained to bite and then release after a signal. Yeah.
So you think with the Inferno match, like I was saying, that they planned it for months, and then with this match, like you said, it was the day of. They sort of just went around the local town. Who's got a Rottweiler that I can use? Which is when you watch the match, the owners of the dogs are just standing there with the lead on.
Yeah. So in the middle of in between the out cage and the inner cage, they're meant to be these like Resident Evil dogs, ready to snap. But instead, it's just people walking the dogs around.
Yeah, it's just pure chaos as well, because the dogs are just doing the toilet. They're humping each other.
And Al Snow said in his book, people still bring it up to him, now, and he said it's embarrassing. Like he just,
It could have been so good. It could have been so good. Like, it's just such a shame because Al Snow wins the match and there's just no reaction from the crowd at all.
But then
there's just no.
Al Snow wins the match, but then the big boss man still has to get out of the cage without the dogs attacking him. Not like the dogs will, because they're not trained to bite.
Yeah.
But the big boss man kind of climbs kind of gingerly over the cage.
Yeah, it's just so. It's just training, kind of.
I like the idea.
So bad, like.
I like the idea that they thought through, knew they thought, right, let's do this, let's do that, and it's good on paper, but they just haven't it's very last minute and they just haven't organised anything.
Yeah, it's just surprising me. I think it depends where you are on the card. Like, obviously, with I keep saying about the Inferno match, but it was the two biggest stars. Well, that's
and if you watch it, you can tell it's very much like a Hollywood kind of scene. You know what I mean? You can tell it's just very well put together.
Yeah.
When this one isn't.
It's a shame. I do feel sorry for the people in it because it could have been so good.
Yeah.
It could have been one that we'd talk about. I mean, they might have done another one if it had actually worked. But.
Yeah. So my next one for a terrible match is probably the worst stipulation I've ever come across. And it's recently, John. It's 2020. Any guesses?
Could it be an eye for an eye?
An eye for an eye match. What on earth is Vince McMahon thinking? And apparently in this match, Vince McMahon had a lot of say about the match. So let's just digress, right? So the eye for an eye match, it's to win the match, you have to rip out or gouge out your opponent's eye. If you have his eye in your hand, you've won the match. So like a Mortal Kombat, finisher. Finish him. Yeah. Now, it's part of entertainment, I understand that. But how were they going to get the eye out of... Because they weren't going to pull the eye out, obviously. And
it's sports entertainment, but there's got to be believability a little bit.
Well, yeah, we said before, once you've kind of... Because we know... we know how it is. And I'm not using the F word, I refuse to. But if you cut the strings and, if you reveal how it's done, you know what I mean? It loses all credibility.
I still can't believe I watched that match.
Well, I watched I watched it in the facts, like, how are they going to pull this off? Now, Vince McMahon said he wanted to use CGI, but then he decided against it.
Well, apparently they actually filmed the CGI.
Yeah.
So, because when we watched the match live, it wasn't actually live. They'd pre-recorded this, and they'd added in a CGI eye-popping thing, and Vince McMahon didn't like the look of it.
So the actual wrestling match wasn't great. It wasn't great wrestling, to be honest.
No.
And it's Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio, so two, good wrestlers. And Seth Rollins pokes, kind of shoves Rey Mysterio's face into the corner of the stairs. And skip forward to the end, his eye comes out, Rey Mysterio, and he's holding this, like, like them eyes you get at the joke shop. Yeah. It's like one of them. And it was the next day, it was all over the tabloids. WWE star has eye ripped out and all this stuff. And my friends who are not into wrestling say to me, what the hell is this about? And it's hard to defend wrestling when this kind of shit happens. How are you supposed to defend that?
You can't, can you?
It's utter, it's shite. That's what it is.
I'm always saying it's sort of an art form, and they tell stories and it's all that, and then you see that and you're just like, why? Like,
yeah,
it wouldn't have been out of place in WCW. It's that bad.
And that's saying something. Yeah, it's just.
It's like you say, I was watching it thinking, there's going to be some interference and they're going to go, we can't carry on. But to actually go through the whole thing and be like, oh, his eyes, and he's still sort of going along with the fact that he's only got one eye.
Yes, Rey Mysterio has like an eye patch, he's covered his eye, hasn't he?
To his mask, yeah.
So from now on, you have to believe he has one eye.
I thought he was retiring or something like that. Do you know what I mean? It's just... it's cringy.
I don't want to talk about it anymore because it's annoying. But an eye
it's so cringy.
Yeah, terrible.
I think it's up there with one of the worst.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially in recent times. If you'd seen it in like 99, you'd be like, they was just trying to be different. But what are they trying here?
In 2020.
What am I trying? I just don't understand what I'm meant to get out of that. It's meant also to the fact, like, I know we moan that it's PG and that. That's meant to be for kids. Like,
yeah.
do you know what I mean? It's not, is it? It had this weird, like, plastic eye. Like you said, the match wasn't very good.
It was just
it was a really awkward match. It was just literally.
But you know, the one thing that annoys me is if it happened just with us and us wrestling fans, we could say, yeah, it was a bit rubbish, but that's fine. But it escaped the outer world. People who weren't wrestling fans came up and said, "What's this about? What's that about? Is it true? How did his eye come out?" And I've got to try and defend it, and it's just that's what gets me.
It's just it's bizarre.
Right, moving on, because that's enough about the match.
That's all the bad ones out of the way as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Interestingly enough, all my matches involve The Undertaker in some way.
Yeah. I've got a corker for the next one.
Do you want to go first or shall I?
I'll go first, yeah. Okay, so a bit of backstory about this. So Ken Shamrock, he is he's a trained fighter. He's got lots of different belts. He's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, that kind of stuff. He's trained in a lot of different art forms, and he sees this thing on TV with Dean Malenko, and he says to Dean Malenko, "What's that?" And Dean Malenko says, "Oh, it's this new type of wrestling." So Dean Malenko goes to Miami, gets Ken Shamrock into the pay-per-view, into the actual event. So it's called Pancrase. I've not heard that before, but it's a Japanese hybrid of wrestling, sort of like a no-holds-bar. Ken Shamrock wins his match, and the audience are cheering for this newcomer, this underdog. And Ken Shamrock says in an interview that from then he wanted to fight more and more in these type of events.
Right.
Now, after that, 6 months later, was UFC 1. That was 1993. So it's that kind of era of, the no-holds-bar wrestling.
Yeah.
So Ken Shamrock fights in UFC 1, 1993, and it's Ken Shamrock vs. Hoist Gracie. Now, in this interview, Ken Shamrock's like, I had no idea what to expect, and he's thinking, I'm going to fight a guy in his dressing gown. This is pathetic. I'm going to kick the shit out of him. But he doesn't. In I think it's about 2 minutes, maybe a bit under, Hoist Gracie just is throwing him all over the place, gets him in a submission. Ken Shamrock taps out, and Ken Shamrock says he underestimated UFC completely. And he does a few more tournaments, and then he wrestled with Vince McMahon in WWF at that point. And they're talking about his background and stuff. And Jim Cornell and Vince and Ken Shamrock are on about a Lion's Den match. Now, have you seen the Lion's Den structure?
Yeah, it's kind of like, is it like a round ring?
Yeah, sort of. So,
doesn't it look like a UFC ring?
Yeah, sort of. They wanted it different from UFC because although at that point they were friends with UFC, they didn't want to copy them or make people think they were duplicating what they had. So it's a circular ring with no ropes. It's just the cage, and it's kind of no holds bar. You can do what you want.
Right.
Now, do you know how big a cage match is? Like a steel cage?
No, it's like 40 feet, is it?
So it's 10 feet.
10 feet, is it?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Hell in a Cell. Hell in a Cell's pretty high, isn't it?
Yeah. The actual cage match, the actual cage structure is 10 feet. The Lion's Den structure was 15 feet.
Right.
So it was quite tall. And at that point, you have a lot of wrestlers: Ken Shamrock, Steve Blackman, Owen Hart. These, genuinely badass wrestlers.
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone knows Brawl for All, you kind of know what I'm on about. So Ken Shamrock is talking to Jim Cornell, and Ken Shamrock says, "Wouldn't it be good if we could get Big John McCarthy to referee the match?" And Jim Cornell's like, "Yes, absolutely." So Ken Shamrock gives his number to Jim Cornell Big John's number, and the owner at UFC at that point. So the owner is Mayoritz. He's the owner of UFC at this point. He finds out that Jim Cornell's got Big John's number, and he rings Vince McMahon, and he swears at him, he curses at him, he's screaming, saying, "Are you trying to steal Big John?" And Vince McMahon has explained that wasn't the case, so just cross wires. So they didn't get Big John to referee the match. So the first match is Ken Shamrock vs Owen Hart, and it's like a dogfight.
I'd imagine like Owen Hart could actually like wrestle for real, because they had the his training in the dungeon, didn't he? As they
exactly, and you could see that, you know, they were both doing kind of triangle chokes. You know, they had actual wrestling fighting moves. You know what I mean? They were going full for leather with each other. Ken Shamrock kicks the cage and bounces back to spring off the cage, and it looks quite cool. Ken Shamrock wins by a submission, and there's a few marks. There's Ken Shamrock vs Steve Blackman, Owen Hart vs Steve Blackman. There's quite a few. There's even one with Vince McMahon.
Really?
Yeah. So what happens is Vince McMahon comes in first, and he runs into the circle, and he locks the door. And Ken Shamrock comes down. You know how Ken Shamrock is. He's screaming, he's punching himself, and he tries to rip the cage, and he rips the cage. He tears a hole in it, but I think Jeff Jarrett comes down and hits him with a chair, and then throws him into the lion's den, and then Vince McMahon gets sort of like an angle lock, a very pathetic angle lock. But at that point, Ken Shamrock's already knocked out, so the referee just calls it. So Vince McMahon wins a Lions Den match against Ken Shamrock.
Oh, for God's sake.
But like, it's very much of the time. I don't think it would work now. I don't think it would. But back then, it was that kind of UFC was upcoming.
It's quite a new thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, you had all these legit wrestlers, and it's aged really well. Like, it still looks really fucking good.
I've never seen it, so I'll have to have a look at it.
Yeah, honestly, it's really good.
Sounds pretty good.
Owen Hart and Ken Shamrock, it just looks so good. Like, I mean, like, it looks like a proper dogfight.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And I'm sure people believed it was. I mean, I'm sure it was a shoot, but
was it a shoot, or was it sort of?
I believe so, yeah. I'm not 100% sure, but surely it must have been.
Maybe, because I think if you're agreeing to be in that sort of match, then, you know.
But like Ken Shamrock, even Steve Blackman, they're nutcases.
Yeah. Ken Shamrock's
and they could fight.
Yeah. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, if you're going to get a chance, anyone out there, you definitely give it a watch.
What events was it at?
Where it was? It was quite a few. There was even one on Raw as well. But the Lion's Den gets the term from Gladiator Town, when, you know, the gladiators used to be in the lion's pit against the lion. You either kill the lion or you get eaten.
Yeah, that's quite clever.
Yeah, it's just a cool match.
It looks good. I'll try and I might have a look at that.
Yeah, you definitely should. It's really good.
Okay, so
my last one
involves The Undertaker again.
Yeah.
Is a Buried Alive match.
Buried Alive match, yeah.
So, again, it's such a spectacle to see. such a bizarre match as well, because it's like, I know we're on a bit of believability in that, but this is where this is kind of believable, and the eye for an eye isn't, because you're watching the guy being buried, quite literally
and
being buried.
It's a big hole, and it's like there's no trickery to it. He's literally getting buried alive.
Yeah. So, technically, there's been 6 buried alive matches.
Okay. A few of them have been on second Austin.
Yeah, and Undertaker's been in every one as well.
Okay.
So if you think like the Inferno match is Kane's sort of staple match, Buried Alive makes sense that it's the Undertaker's.
Yeah.
Well,
I thought the last one, casket match, to be fair.
Yeah, well, you got the casket match as well. It's always a quite good match. Yeah. The last one, I would say, is technically a Buried Alive match, was the Boneyard match.
Yeah.
The aim was to bury them alive. It was just that special sort of somatic sort of match. But yeah, the first one was at pay-per-view, which was actually called Buried Alive.
Okay.
It was one of the In Your House pay-per-views that they used to have, where The Undertaker beat Mankind. And then there's been a tag team Buried Alive match at SmackDown. Again, a Buried Alive match at a SmackDown to me sounds like something
that is a weird one. That's a weird one for me.
And it was I think it was for the titles. It was Undertaker and Big Show against the Rock and Sock Connection. What a match that was!
Yeah.
Vince McMahon has been and won a Buried Alive match. He got help from Kane, but he is actually won a Buried Alive match against the Undertaker.
You know, I love Vince McMahon. Like he gets into everything, doesn't he? Hair match, a Buried Alive match, Lion's Den.
So before the Boneyard one, which was obviously this year, the last one was in 2010 at a pay-per-view. I don't know why they didn't carry it on. I mean, they could bring it back, which was called Bragging Rights. Do you remember that pay-per-view?
I do remember that. Yeah.
It's kind of what they've turned Survivor Series into a little bit.
Right.
Where it was always Raw against SmackDown. So it's called, you would get your bragging rights. And Kane actually won the title against The Undertaker.
Right, okay.
At the Buried Alive match. But if I remember rightly, I don't know if it's that one, but it was when The Undertaker was in his dead man gimmick where he's like the biker?
Yeah. Well,
I remember this whole storyline where like Kane was like, why aren't you like you used to be? I'm going to bury you. And he buried him, and then Undertaker comes back as the Undertaker that we know. So he sort of buried that character and then Buried Alive match.
Right, I see. Because the one thing that sticks out in my memory from being a child is the Buried Alive match, and it was the Undertaker, and he got buried alive, and like I said, it was a huge show, like, and he was gone, and it was like, oh, okay, that's the end of the. We're not going to see him again, and I was dead confused for weeks. I was wondering what happened to the Undertaker, and as time went on, I forgot about the Undertaker until there was this build-up, slowly but surely. You know, then the young girls in the white,
who did the yeah.
And that's when he debuted as the Dead Man. But the build-up was, he's coming back, and it was the creepy vignettes of the girls. He's here, and
I think they did use the Buried Alive matches to sort of kill that incarnation at the time of the Undertaker.
But it was just
which I thought was quite clever.
So well done.
So as well, I've looked up a theory how they do it, because I can't fully understand how they do it, because you see him get buried, don't you?
Yeah, okay.
And I've seen his hand, but as well, I've seen his hand come up at the end of a Buried Alive match.
Yeah.
Under the soil.
So
apparently there's a hidden room. So you'll see one shot of him sort of lying down, and then you won't see that angle again because he slid into a room, and the carry on's getting buried, and he waits there in this room with apparently a couple bottles of water till the event's over, and then they sort of dig him out, kind of thing.
Really?
It's quite a dangerous match.
It is.
I mean, you see magicians doing Buried Alive, and sometimes it goes really wrong.
Well, in anything can go wrong. You know what I mean? There's danger and everything, but that's mad. So we stay there until the end of to the arena's empty, essentially.
So the weird thing with it as well is, you're buried alive, but you're buried alive in a mound of like dirt in an arena. It's never like outside in a graveyard. It's really weird when you think about it.
A week later, while Billy Joel is performing, it's just a piece of dirt.
we are not going like, that's ridiculous. It's just
I've never thought about that. You know, I've never thought about.
I just thought it's so bizarre because they set it up like a graveyard, don't they? You sometimes put like gravestones.
That's really.
I always like that as well. I think I always like that in the build up to them, that the Undertaker would make a gravestone for the person that he's against to be at this like Buried Alive match. It was always quite a good thing to say. I don't know if we'll ever see one again. Maybe they'll stop it because there's no Undertaker.
Well, the only person that could do it.
Yes, sir. The Fiend. Are you thinking the Fiend again?
I am, yeah.
I don't know, no, because there's no one that sort of buries people. He's the Undertaker. The Undertaker puts people on the ground. That's the whole thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Buried Alive match, I think, so is...
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. I mean, like I said, it's just, when you're watching it, especially being a child or, like a young teenager, you're just in awe of them get buried alive. It's mad.
I didn't intentionally pick 3 Undertaker matches, but I suppose he always had the advantage where he'd have these sort of amazing stipulation matches because of his character.
Yeah.
It's just it's pure chance that they're all involving him.
I said as well just then that like it's amazing to see it as a teenager or when you're younger. But I take that back. Even now, as a fully grown adult, I've watched a Buried Alive match recently, and I thought, what a fucking match! Like they're just so good, aren't they? Like, the build up. It's not just about the match. It's the build up. It's the story. It's the way they convey, the story throughout the match, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah. It's always,
I'm not ashamed to say, as a fully grown adult, I enjoy sports entertainment, a Buried Alive match.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think WCW ever did their own version of that.
Do you know what? I'm glad because someone probably would have died.
They just buried the best wrestlers they had.
There's some really good picks in there. I'm very impressed with that. I've really enjoyed this podcast.
Yeah.
This episode. I mean, there's so many different stipulations we could have done. We could do a part 2 maybe one day.
Yeah. Oh, there's a ton, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's so many. Like...
I mean, just for example, the Good Housekeeping match.
Wasn't China in that one?
Yeah, there's the Brawl for All.
Brawl for All. We should do a thing on the Brawl for All because it's...
Yeah,
it's
I mean, it's
so
just
bizarre.
There's even like an I Quit match. That was going to be one of my choices because, like, an I Quit match. These wrestlers, they are superstars, and it's going to take a lot for someone to say the words "I quit." So you really have to give them a good beating before they say the words.
There's some brutal I Quit matches.
You think of Royal Rumble 1999, The Rock and Mankind.
Yeah, it's brutal. Like it's one of the worst matches I'll see. It's that bad.
Yeah,
it's a good match, but it's bad what's happening there. I used to like the Last Man Standing match as well. I always thought it was pretty good.
Another good one was 3 Stages of Hell.
Yeah.
They were There's one with Triple H where it's like a Hell in a Cell, then an I Quit match, then a hardcore match.
Yeah.
But like I said, maybe we're going to do one, a part 2, another day.
Yeah.
But we'll wrap this up. It's been... What was your favourite one that I picked?
Well, the sound of the lion dance. The Lion's Den match, I think, sounded pretty good. And the scramble match was pretty good.
Yeah.
I think a scramble match would be interesting.
It would, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I think they could do that. I don't think they'd do the Lion's Den one because it's too close to UFC.
Yeah, and now there's, I suppose back then there was no real rules with that kind of fighting. Now there's a lot more rules.
Yeah. What about mine? Mine are all like normal ones, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, the Inferno match, it was, oh God, it's just an amazing thing to see, isn't it?
I think that's, I mean, I just think because it'd be between the Inferno and Buried Alive, just because there's not many of them.
Yeah.
I think the Hell in a Cell is too many.
But when it's done right.
Yeah, it's hard to top what you've seen into.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Right, we're going to leave it there. Thank you for joining, and check out our YouTube channel as well. Give that a like, give that a subscribe, comment, all the other things that you can do on social media. Give us a follow on Facebook and on Instagram. I want to thank my Scottish stud, John Dugan.
And my ginger friend, Kieran.
I need to go for the ginger word.
Yeah. What's wrong with being ginger?
Nothing, but I mean...
Be proud of your heritage.
Well, I am. Yeah, all right. It's been a pleasure, and I'll see you again soon for our next episode of TTP, Turnbuckle Talk Podcast.
Cheers.